Hey cosmic people, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about signs that you will have noticed if you're a goddess. If you like what we're going to talk about in today's video, go ahead and leave a like. So let's jump straight into the video, shall we? Now, when we talk about goddess, I'm not just talking about pretty. I'm talking more so about powerful. It's about being born with a connection that most people do not have. Since I can even remember, I have always had special encounters with spirit. And if you've had similar encounters, chances are you're probably a goddess too. Story time. So I remember I was around about 6. My mother and I, along with my 2 sisters, moved into an apartment. It was at night when we got there, and so as soon as we moved into our new apartment, we went straight to sleep. About 4 hours into us sleeping, I was waken up by the sound of a door creaking open. Shortly there, I located which door was creaking open. But I also noticed that everyone who was in the apartment along with me, which was my mom and my 2 sisters, they were still there asleep. So that door was opening up by itself, only to, as soon as it was wide open, slam shut as loud as it possibly can, waking up my older sister. Now, my older sister is 14 years older than me, so when I was 6, she was in her 20s. As soon as that door slammed, my sister, my big sister, jolts awake and says, "What was that?" And I say, "It was the door. This house is haunted." Where she dismisses me and tells me, "Go back to sleep." After all, she's the big sister. I was only 6. My mom actually worked for that apartment complex at the time, and about 3 months after that incident, we had many more hauntings after that, but about 3 months after that incident, my mom let my sister, my big sister, stay in that particular unit, and we moved to a different unit within the same apartment complex, where my sister every single day would call my mom to have my mom send me, her little bitty sister, over to her unit to sit with her because she was so afraid of the ghost that she shortly thereafter noticed was real. So she could no longer look at her little 6-year-old sister as imaginative or tell her that it was all in her imagination. She shortly thereafter experienced her own hauntings that had her laying next to a gun every day, whereas I, as a 6-year-old little kid, would tell her, "Amy, my big sister, you can't shoot a ghost." Being a spiritualista even at 6 years old. Another example was a blue house that was right up the street from that haunted apartment complex that we lived in. We went over to visit my aunt one day, me and my mom. My mom went to the bathroom. I tried to follow her where I was kicked out of the bathroom. My mom would not allow me in the bathroom with her. And so when I leave out of the bathroom, still 6, by the way, I'm walking through this really weird feeling hallway where something comes up behind me and shoves me so hard that I was picked up off the ground and jerked to the ground. Now, I thought that this was a human being that pushed me because I definitely felt 2 hands in my back, and I jerked back like this and projected forward and flew, hitting the ground, finally able to look back and see who the hell just pushed me like that. I was literally physically attacked. That push was an attack, by the way. I was pushed very, very hard, only to look back and there was no one there. No one there. Okay? And I remember my aunt, because we were there visiting my aunt, saying that she was always experiencing sleep paralysis, where she would explain it as she thought it was the devil sitting on her chest, where she would wake up and can't move, can't breathe, can't scream, can't talk, can't nothing. And when I was pushed by what I believe was a poltergeist, I immediately, even in my 6-year-old mind, diagnosed that my aunt was experiencing those nightmarish states because of the house. It was the house giving her paralysis like that, or something in that house, rather. Now, we naturally stopped going over there because my aunt's boyfriend at the time moved. However, once we moved, her sleep paralysis just stopped instantly. Taking this back to knowing whether you're a god or a goddess or not, you will literally have encounters with spirit similar to the ones I shared, and many, many other experiences. Some beautiful, some terrifying. Saying all of this to say, if you are a goddess, you will know from a very young age due to encounter with spirit. Last story I'll share about how I was always able to see with a different set of lenses. I seen the Hatman in the same area that I was living at 6. Okay? And the Hatman didn't scare me at all. In fact, he was actually pretty cool. He tipped his hat to me, y'all. He took his hat off of his head, tipped it to me, and put it back on his head. Kind of like a man with lots of chivalry. A kind man, a polite man, someone who's telling me, good day. I didn't get an evil feeling from him. He was a pretty cool entity to witness. Again, at the age of 6, never seen him ever again after that. Never lived in that area ever again either. So it could have just been that area that we lived in was a spiritual hotspot. However, I, as a child, was able to immediately diagnose a haunted place. It didn't take months. It didn't take weeks. It didn't take days for me to notice. It doesn't. If I walk into a haunted house, I will immediately know it is haunted. Okay? Now, this means that goddesses have a very, very special relationship with spirit, the spiritual aspect of life. Goddesses tend to walk both physical reality and spiritual reality. A goddess is more multi-dimensional in her thinking and her seeing and her hearing and her feeling. A lot of times goddesses are very sensitive to the energy around them, and they can literally see past the veil, and it will be from birth essentially. And this is because this is a natural path that you were literally born to walk on. Saying that to say, Spirit has always revealed itself to me. Spirit has never been afraid to reveal itself to me. And I was always able to diagnose in a spiritual way, even from the age of 6. That also means that by default, I am not easily shaken by the supernatural. A lot of times goddesses won't be. Another thing about this is that you can instantly sense when the energy is off. You can walk into a home or a place of business and instantly sense whether you like the energy or you don't. That same thing goes into the fact that I'm able to walk into a home and instantly tell whether the energy there is good or bad, or if they have some kind of entity there. I have always been able to see that, even from a kid. So again, you can sense when the energy is off. Your presence alone can also shift that energy. So another thing that was always special about me is that when I walked into places, Spirit was able to release just by me walking into that vicinity. I have always been a conduit for helping to release energy, helping energy to detach and go somewhere else than where it has been attracted to for so long. I have always been able to clear stuck energy, and if you're a god or a goddess, you probably had that ability as well. That means that a goddess is just not a beautiful woman, although a lot of goddesses are very, very beautiful, and they're usually shaped like a figure 8 or like an hourglass. They usually have that really womanly body, and that's because a lot of times goddesses have had children, right? And it's because that goddess energy is very, very maternal, and it's also very fertile. And so being shaped like an hourglass is inevitable for a goddess. It's not every time, but a lot of the times goddesses are shaped like an hourglass. Now, I don't just want to talk about goddesses and how to know that you are one because the topic is cute, even though it is, right? But if you're a goddess, it's important that you know that. When you're a goddess, you stop shrinking and doubting yourself. You stop comparing yourself to other goddesses. Knowing that you're a goddess makes it easy for you to step into your natural abilities and your power. Goddesses aren't just here to exist. They're here to create. That's why a lot of goddesses are in the lead right now, helping the planet to vibrate higher and transform. And knowing your goddess role makes you take this role a lot more serious. If you don't know that you're a goddess, then it's easy for you to mistake your spiritual gifts. You may see your psychic abilities as a burden, or your magnetism as an annoyance. And so your awareness is going to give protection and clarity to your newfound goddesshood. When you are aware of your goddess status, it honors your ancestors. It honors your legacy. You make the ancestors proud when you realize your power, when you realize the beauty and just how magnetic you really are and your spiritual gifts that were inherited from them. Your ancestors love to see you carry your gifts into the future and see you carry your gifts to full fruition. When you know you're a goddess, you manifest way more effortlessly. You manifest a lot more different. You don't have to chase anything. Things just come to you as if by magic. And it's because when you are stepping into your goddess energy, you're stepping into true divinity, divine alignment. The most important thing about being aware of your goddess status is to encourage other goddesses, to awaken it within others. This is a power that if more people were tapped into, the planet can literally shift into a more delightful place to live, a more comfortable place to be, a more powerful place to be. And so these are some of the signs that you will see if you are a goddess, and why it's important to know that you are in fact a goddess. If you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel just so that you can come back and get videos just like this. If you're interested in a cosmic consultation or a illumination reading, all of my paid work is going to be listed in the description box below.